Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah walhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Welcome, guys. Today I want to ask this question. What is the sole monotheistic principle that binds the Trinity together? What is the main idea of monotheism? Is it the Homoousion or the Perichoretic oneness? Okay, if you have been watching my channel, I've been talking about this in the past few videos, okay? Is it the Homoousios doctrine, the idea that there's one shared essence? If you have heard this before, three persons and one being. What does that do? Tells us that there's one essence shared by three persons, okay? Or is it the fact that they are inseparable? Perichoresis, the mysterious perichoresis, right? Is that what binds them? Is that what makes? Is that what gives us monotheism, or is it the Homoousios stuff? Now, some history about this whole controversy. The Homoousios statement was said in the Council of Nicaea in 325, right? Who were the people that this was told to? The Arians, okay? A group of Christians that didn't believe in this somehow. This term was difficult for them to accept, the idea of Homoousios. So, the church fathers, they said this in their declaration. And the Arian guys, they didn't sign it, okay? Now, what did the church fathers mean by this Homoousios stuff? That is the crucial part. You need to understand. What did they mean? What were they trying to defend? And why? I don't think this is the one that gets you monotheism, okay? Because what it does is you get co-equality. That's what they were trying to maintain in that council. What were the Arians saying? The Arians were, what's it called, Christians. The Arians are Christians. People need to realize this. They were Christians, bishops, okay, before the controversy started. And they also believe in monotheism. They also, because they're Christian, of course they should. How can you become a bishop and you don't believe in monotheism? It doesn't make sense, right? They also, at least they would have claimed that they are monotheistic, right? But the church fathers charged them with tritheism because of the deduction that follows their arguments, according to the church fathers anyway. But in that council, what were the Arians saying? Were they saying there are two gods, or we're not talking about that. They were talking about the subordination of the Son to the Father. That was the main thing that the church fathers wanted to emphasize and see. The Son is of the same essence. It's equal in power, equal in all the sins to the Father. That's the whole point of that council. The Arians are like, no, the Father is greater than the Son, okay? And therefore, they cannot have the same essence if you have subordination in there. And the church fathers are like, no, they have the same essence, okay? It's just an essence. It's more like a universal essence, like divinity. So if you have divinity, you have to have all the properties of divinity. So the church fathers are saying, yeah, the Son has that too, and the Holy Spirit later on. The point is that they were not arguing about monotheism. They were arguing about the equality of the Father to the Son. That's what they wanted to get first. The whole issue about monotheism came later, okay? Because if they had solved the problem of monotheism right then and there, why would people like Gregory of Nyssa be asked the same question by bishops? Bishop Ablabius literally asked Gregory of Nyssa about this same idea that if you have three men, we call them three men, they have the same essence, they are sharing the same essence, but we still call them three men. How come you have three gods, you have three persons, divine persons, sharing divinity? Why are they not three gods? Why didn't the bishop get it? A whole bishop didn't understand that co-equality, it doesn't translate to polytheism. Of course, he needed to ask that question, because all you've gotten now, instead of an hierarchical system that existed before the Council of Nicaea, mainly, most theologians, is it Justin Martyr? Is it Tertullian? Is it Origen? Most of them affirm some kind of hierarchical model of the Trinity, where the Father is here, and then the Son, and then the Holy Spirit. They are the most divine being after the Father. Okay, so they call them the subordinationists. Imagine, is it not weird? All the theologians before the Council of Nicaea believe that there's subordination. And then you find Christians today saying, the Trinity has always been believed. Go and see what those guys said about the Trinity. You'll be like, These guys are not Christians. You probably call them heretics. Anyway, the whole point is that confrontation at the Council of Nicaea was about ironing out the status of the Son. Everyone knew the Father was God. Nobody doubted that. But the Son, is he fully God like the Father? Is he fully divine in the highest sense? In fact, the same one, the same divinity. And that's what the Arians did. They were denying that if the Son is caused to exist, and they used many arguments. The point is that it wasn't about monotheism, right? Fine. Now, the Perichoresis doctrine, on the other hand, I think that's where the monotheism question, that's one that they will try to use to maintain monotheism mostly. This is one that can actually seem to like get us somewhere when we are talking about monotheism. Once you say this, then everyone knows your position. Once you talk about perichoresis, because that's the whole thing, that's what it's all about, right? So, I told you, if you watch my other videos, Origin of Alexandria, who lived like late 2nd century, 3rd century, okay? He talked about some kind of oneness between the Father and the Logos. When someone was asking him, do we have two gods? And he said, in one sense, yeah. But in another sense, we have one God. How does that make sense? And he explained it using verses in the Bible where they were talking about, what's it called? A kind of functional oneness, like the husband and the wife. They are one, right? One flesh, literally in the Bible. But that kind of oneness is functional, right? So he said, this is what it means when we say they are one. It means they work together. There's only one power, one authority in heaven, where the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, they work together to achieve goals, right? It doesn't mean they are not two gods. Literally, they are two gods. But you don't call them two gods because they are working together. This is exactly the kind of idea that you find in Gregory of Nyssa, where when Bishop Ablabius was asking him about, don't you have three, when we have three men, there are three men. You know all those people that always say three persons and one being. This is where you know it doesn't work. That's Homoousios stuff. The three men that we have, they are Homoousios. I've already told you, most people don't understand this. Me, you, and all the men, all the human beings, we are Homoousios. If you don't understand that, we are all Homoousios, meaning we share the same humanity, the same divine essence. The reason why I'm human is because I have the human essence. You have the human essence too. I have it fully. You have it fully too. Does that make us one? Of course not, right? That's the exact question this Bishop Ablabius was asking Gregory of Nyssa. And Gregory of Nyssa, by the way, if you don't know Gregory of Nyssa is the brother of Basil of Caesarea, who lived earlier. And Basil of Caesarea he has a friend, Gregory of Nazianzus. Three of them, by the way, they are from Cappadocia. We call them the Cappadocians, the scholars. But the point is that Gregory of Nazianzus, you should understand something about this individual. He was the chairman of the Council of 381. So these three people, this is the kind of idea they have about Homoousios thing that is like a universal humanity that we all share. So there's a divinity divinity that the three persons of the Trinity share. But that doesn't, it gets you equality, yeah, it gets you equality, even though we can doubt that. But what it doesn't do is get us monotheism, okay? So, when he was asked this question, Gregory of Nyssa, he said, the only reason why there's one God in the case of three divine persons is that they are working together. The power is one. When you see three men, when they are working, you can distinguish between their works. But when you see three gods, quote unquote, when they do this work, their work is inseparable. It's by the Father through the Son in the Holy Spirit. This kind of stuff. So it's making the distinction, just like Origin did, that in one sense there are two gods, in another sense there's one God. He's saying in one sense there are three gods, but because of the work, because of their inseparable work, we can say there's one God. So there will always be this duality, and that's why you still find some Christians that say this, see, you cannot have strict monotheism. There have to be some plurality. Yeah? In one sense, there's plurality. In one sense, there's singularity. See? The singularity. What is the meaning of singularity? It is not in there. The singularity is in their work. Okay? is not numerical. It's in their work. Whereas the plurality is numerical. Really, gender is numerical. So the point I'm trying to make is that if you really want to talk about monotheism or anything, it has to be this perichoresis stuff. And I've already examined why this perichoresis stuff is not what we are asking you. The moment you've admitted that in one sense there are two gods, and in another sense there's one God, you've already lost it with us. We, the ones that carry the banner of monotheism. Anyway, yeah. So because we are asking you how many individuals are in there. You are telling us they are working together. Fine, they work together, but three gods can work together, right? Now there's another part. That one is like the functional oneness, right? The other part is a kind of metaphysical system that some people are trying to push, and I've examined that too, where they are saying, see, it's not just that they're working together; they're somehow intertwined. I'm like, I thought you said God is not material. God is not material. God is not physical. God, what do you mean intertwined? And these are the people that I was saying you don't know God. How do you know God is intertwined? In a metaphysical sense. That's what they are saying. In a metaphysical sense, they interpenetrate each other. Interpenetrate? Who told you this? This is where the contradiction comes in. How do you know when you say nobody can understand God, nobody can speak about God, we cannot fully grasp God, yet you are setting down boundaries? You're talking about interpenetration. You're talking about they don't confuse, no confusion, all of that. And you see that those guys, the apophthisists, the ones that are saying we can only know God by negation, okay? They are the ones that say the most about God. They end up saying a lot more than they should have. Anyway, I hope you see like the Homoousios doctrine. The next time someone tells you three persons and one being, all it leads to is three gods. The church fathers didn't get it. Because if they got it, Bishop Ablabius, like a century later, will not be asking Gregory of Nyssa that question. That means it was still a question in the church, like, what's going on here? We should have three gods. If you are counting numerically, anyway. So the point is that once you understand that, when someone try to use this sharing one essence stuff for you, you can understand it and you can dismantle it. I hope you benefit from this, guys. See you guys later. Let me see what you think in the comment section. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.